Hey everybody, David Burns, EAS Certified Master Beekeeper. Thanks for joining me for another morning as we talk about beekeeping. In our last video, I showed you 3 things about beekeeping. I showed you how to cut open a frame of honey to get it ready to be extracted. I showed you how to tell when the nectar flow ends, the difference between, we looked at a hive and I showed you what a heavy nectar flow looks like versus a hive that no longer has a nectar flow. And then the third thing, we followed a frame over the course of 15 days. We put an empty frame, undrawn frame in, and we kept looking at it almost every day to see the progression and how quickly bees can draw the comb out, lay eggs, and cap over the brood in 15 days or less. So that's a neat video. If you haven't watched that one, wow, that's very informative. So please, after this video, take a look at that last video. Today, at the request of so many of you, you were like, okay, we saw how you opened up the caps on that honey frame, but we want to see you extract it. We want to watch how you do that. So I'm going to show you in this video 2 frames only. We're going to take 2 frames. I thought it'd be fun to see how much honey does 2 super frames make. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Take a look at that and see, and then I'll show you how I spin it out, how I strain it, all that good stuff. Be very informative. And at the filming of this video, it is harvest time for supers, honey supers, in most places. So that's going to be really cool to watch. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't done that down below. Click on the bell. You'll be notified each time I make a new video. So take a look at that. Also, we're going to close out the beekeeping video later with coffee time. I can't wait to get in that. Today I'm going to talk to you about staying concentrated and how dangerous it is to let our minds constantly be in a state of disruption. So that's going to be very important for you to stick around for that coffee time. Let's get started. Many of you have asked me what kind of extractor I recommend, and that depends on the size of your operation, how many hives you have. 10 hives or less, this baby's going to do the trick. It's a 2-frame extractor at one time, and it holds deep or super frames, and the bearings are so smooth. Look at this. It is just a smooth operation. And we're going to show you in just a few minutes how to use it, but it is just for the money. This is the one that we sell in our store, and boy, you can't beat it for the price. It's got a nice honey gate on it with seals off good with a little O-ring there, a little Teflon O-ring. These windows keep any honey spray from coming up when you're spinning it. And I think it's might be under 200 bucks, so it's just really worth the money. That's the one I really enjoy using the most for like a small operation, 10 hives or less. Okay, so we've placed our first frame in here, and now we're ready to place the second frame that we open up the cappings on. You can see what it looks like. And so we'll place this down in here like this. They're slanted a little bit like that. And now they're ready to be spun. And so what's going to happen is by spinning them, it's going to create centrifugal force, and it's going to cause the honey to be slung out of the cells against the wall of the extractor. Let's go ahead and just do a few, and I'll show you what the walls begin to look like. You know, see the walls becoming very filled with honey? Now, I don't have this bolted down or anything, and the frames are a little bit off balance, so it's going to wiggle. But you want always make sure that your valve is shut, closed on your extractor before you start spinning. If it's open, then what's going to happen is the honey is going to start running out on the floor, and it's going to be a total loss. So always check that all your gates, we call them gates, not really valves, but a gate, make sure the gates are really closed down good. Now you can keep spinning faster and faster if you want to, and that wobble can be taken out if you bolt it to the floor or if you just put up with it, like I'm just holding it. And then what we'll do next is We may have gotten almost all of it off of one side. We don't know. We'll look. But if we didn't, what we'll do is run it through again. But we'll take a look at one side facing the wall and compare it to the other side that hasn't been spun yet. All right. So this is a side facing the wall. Oh my gosh! It got a lot of it out, if not all of it. You know, here's what the other side looks like. It hasn't been spun. So we're going to swap those right now, and by swapping them, we'll get the other side ready to be spun. And so you just pull these up and turn them the other way like this. I want the unslung part facing the wall, and I want the head of my frame to be opposite. Like the head of this one is here, the head of that one is over there. They're opposite. All right, we'll go ahead and spin this side now. Man, that's a good smell. You should have the lids on here. If you don't have the lids on, you can feel the wind coming up from the spinning of those frames. And what's happening, that wind is also laced a little bit with some honey. Just a mist of honey. You don't really notice it until all at once you start asking, why are my hands sticky? Why are my arms sticky? Why is my face sticky? Why is David's camera getting honey on the lens? All right, so now let's just speed it up a little bit. All right. Watch your fingers. That's why you need to have the lids on it. You don't want to get a finger in there. It probably would break a finger. All right, let's stop it now. Grab a hold of the handle and just stop it. Again, you don't have to really spend a lot of money to just have fun spinning a little bit of frames. Look at that. That is good. Very good. Wow, the other one is too. So we're done. I mean, that is just ready to be put back out there. Let them fill it up again. But we're only doing 2 frames just for a little demonstration of what it's like to spin honey out. Let's see, both sides look really good to me. Yep. And now, if you look down in there, let me move my camera. We have to kind of give it some time because it's going to run down off of the wall for a little while. I'm in a pretty warm room, about 80 degrees. That's going to help the honey run down even more. But we have to wait till the honey all runs down to the bottom, and then we'll start letting it run out of the extractor. Okay, so I want to show you the other things while our honey is draining down the side of the wall of the extractor. I use this strainer. It's not a filter. It's a 200 micron strainer, and you can see through it. It allows the honey to pass through fairly easily, especially the warmer that it is, but it catches any wax particles. It helps the honey look like a really good product when you're done. And it sits right down inside one of our 5-gallon buckets. The 5-gallon buckets, again, have a honey gate at the bottom you open. Now, let me explain to you how this works. We're going to put this under the gate on the extractor so that the honey begins to go through the strainer, catching the wax particles, and it goes into the bucket. It is best for you to wait about 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week, because when honey sits in this bucket, the bubbles, air bubbles, are naturally occurring when we allow honey to run through filters and into buckets. These air bubbles will rise to the top of this bucket, so that now when you bottle your honey, since the air bubbles are up here, your honey is going to be very, very clear. Now, do air bubbles hurt honey? Not at all. Nope. It just, some people might look at it as cloudy because it's got air bubbles in it. But no, it doesn't change honey at all, only in appearance. So if you don't care about air bubbles, they will rise in your jar, by the way, too, if you bottle it too soon. But if you're trying to win a blue ribbon at a state fair with the best looking honey, let the air bubbles rise up, and then you do that by just letting it sit in here for several days. But anyway, again, you put this, it goes right on top of your bucket, and then the gate is here. Make sure that gate is closed before you start filling it up. Now again, let me touch on the frames that we did remove. These are the 2 frames that we actually uncapped on the last video. And on this video, we spun the honey out. These two frames are what is called or known as wet supers. They're still a little wet just from the honey that just got spun out of it. So now if I wanted to, I could go right out back to another hive, pull 2 more frames out and put these in their place. And the bees are really having a good nectar flow right now. They would quickly fill this back up and cap it over for me. If you can get into a little rhythm with your bees by doing it this way, you can make a lot more honey than you think by giving them these wet super frames. Yeah, you don't have to do 2 at a time. You can do 10, a whole super at a time. We're doing 2 at a time just for demonstration for the video. But these could easily be placed back on and filled up and capped, I know, in 7 days again. So that's how fast you can do it. Now, if you don't exchange these frames like I'm talking about, they're just going to fill up 1 super and be done because there's no other room. Okay, so we're letting the honey run down the walls of the extractor. And we're going to open the honey gate up here, and we should see honey start to come out of the gate. Again, we only did 2 frames, so it's not going to be a ton of honey, but it'd be enough for us to get a good scene. And you can see it coming out, landing onto the strainer. You can see some of the wax particles there in the honey, and that's what the strainer's job is to do. You can eat it with the honey in there. I would eat this honey all day long. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It just has some wax flakes in it, which are just, you know, extra roughage. Darker wax there, lighter wax color. But we'll just continue to let this drain on its own like this. And then we'll go ahead and start bottling some up. So don't go anywhere. We have some honey to bottle. It's cool. How much honey can we get from 2 frames? Stay tuned. All right, let me show you something cool. You can actually see the honey dripping out of the strainer. Isn't that the coolest thing? Look at that. And it's just dripping down into, so it's just dripping down into here. And you can see it looks really good down there. And that's how the operation works on a simple scale for you to do this at home. And of course, you can do a whole bunch of frames at one time, and it will be much more. But again, we're just doing 2 frames. And because it is warm in this room, I'm sweating. This honey is just flowing through this strainer so quickly. Very nice. All right, back on the picnic table, you know, where I do all my beekeeping work, like coffee time, and I'll put some frames out here. Sometimes we'll go through that. But today, these 2 frames that we just extracted the honey out of, I wanted to put them back on a hive out there that's doing really well, and we'll date it. I thought I would scrape all of this propolis off, and then we'll get a, you know, a Sharpie marker. We'll write down the date, and we'll just, you know, for the heck of it, see if they can really put some more nectar in here, dry it out the honey, cap it over, if that's possible, and how long is it going to take. And so first we need to clean off the top. Look at that. That is a ball of propolis. It's really cool, and it smells so good. All right, so today is July the 29th, and for the most part, nectar flow ends about now in Illinois, for me, central Illinois. But, you know, you got to try it, right? I'm hoping, I'm riding on top of this waxy propolis frame. I'm hoping that's going to stay on there. I think it is. If not, we've got video evidence that it was the 29th. 2020. Let's do July. Let's do 7. 29. Ooh, it does not write well on this wax. 20. All right, well, that'd be good enough. We know what we're looking at. So we're gonna put these back in right now. We're gonna take 2 more out. Not gonna extract them right away, but we're gonna take 2 more out, put these in their place, see if my bees will go to work. All right, so we're ready to get into the hive, take a couple of frames out, hopefully capped over. Haven't really looked at this hive over here yet. So, but I think the way the bees are working, there's got to be some capped frames in here. No, I don't use inner covers. Just the top cover. Because mostly inner covers are good for winter, and I use a winter be kind in the winter time. And I have to take it off anyway to put the winter be kind on, so I just got in the habit of not using inner covers. And I'm using a traditional hive tool. And the reason I am is because it was sitting right there. Let's see if this one's capped over frame of honey. It's looking good on this side. What's your side look like, YouTube people? Oh yeah. I don't think that has foundation in it. Now, I'm going to brush the bees off, but not yet. I'm going to do it all at one time. Because if I brush the bees off now without any smoke, those bees are going to get flighty. And do the next one, the next frame will get flighty. So my philosophy is do it all at once. You know, get all the bees riled up at one time. Don't stretch it out by doing 2 separate frames. Yeah, you should use smoke. I'm just gonna, for the purpose of the video, I'm just trying to do this without smoking them. Can't get a hold of that frame. Let's just pull it out. Slow motion without any smoke. You gotta work in slow motion. Oh wow, that's heavy. The heavy frame of capped over honey. That's exactly what we want. I don't want to kill any bees. I'm having to move them along with my gloves here. Oh, some of you are asking me, where do I get those gloves? I want those sting-proof gloves. I know. My wife, Sherry, who runs our store and our internet inventory, she actually got them a while back, years ago. And I grabbed a pair because I really was using them for another project that didn't have anything to do with bees, but they protected my hands. And then all at once I thought, I want to use them when I'm working bees to keep the propolis off. Then I decided I didn't like being stung on the hands every now and again, so I wear them like all the time now, and they're awesome. All right, let's brush some bees off. Wow, that hive is packed full of bees down there. They get noisy, but it's no big deal. That's why I got a suit on. Can't get every one of them off, but you can get most of them brushed off. Take this frame indoors and take a look at it later. All right, we've got one more frame to do. Most of these bees settle back into the hive pretty quickly after we brush them off, don't they? Yeah, they're not bad. I don't look at this as any problem at all. I don't find the bees being angry or aggressive. They get brushed off and they just fly so they can get back in their hive again. That's all. Nothing dangerous or scary. New beginners might think, wow, that's really loud. Aren't you scared? Nah. Hey, look how you can almost see through that. It's so clear. But the other one was so dark. Let me show you that one. It was, let me hold this up. Look how dark this one is. Dark honey versus clear honey. So they got it from 2 different nectar sources. All right, now the bees are wanting to go to work. So we're ready to put our 2 frames in that we just extracted. Remember I dated it July 29th, 2020. We'll never forget the year 2020, will we? 2020. Who would forget 2020? All right, let me show you this next one. See that? July 29th, 2020. Just spun it all out. It's empty. We're putting it in. We're going to just see if all of these bees can do something like fill this up and cap it over. So how long would you want to wait? I'm thinking we need to give them 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks would be adequate. So sometime in first, or maybe the second week in August, we'll take another look at them. Wow, they're so gentle, aren't they? There you go. All right. So what I've actually done is tilted. I want to get every drop out of here that I can for our study as to how, much 2 frames of honey makes. And so to do that, I want to get every drop I can. So I turn the extractor on edge and letting it just drain down. You can see here it's just sliding down, and all the honey is just going to drip out into the strainer. And then we can get every last drop out of it so we can have a more accurate measurement. Okay, so what I did was I weighed the empty container, and I took this filter off that contains now only just the wax that's about 98% drained out. I removed this, and I just did a weight check of the bucket. So then I measured the weight of the bucket with just the honey in it, and it weighed perfectly at 7 pounds. So that means from 2 frames of honey supers, medium-sized supers, we got approximately 3.5. We had an average of 3.5 pounds of honey per frame. Now, the final step to show you is bottling honey. Simple process of just opening up the gate and then letting the honey start filling the jar. Look how clear, kind of white that is. Wow, beautiful. So that means that's some good data to know that a frame of honey, medium-sized frame of honey, produces about 3.5 pounds after you extract the honey out of it and strain it. I like to fill it to about right like that, right up to the top, just about like that. All right, and we want to tighten that up a little bit so it doesn't drip. Now, let's put the top on it. It did drip on it. One little drop, huh? Let's hold it up and see what you think. Wow, let's get some light behind it. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. All right, well, you got to watch each step of the way here, making 2 frames, making 7 pounds of honey. For comparison of honey, there are about 10 to 11 pounds of honey per gallon. And so from 1 frame, we make, 3.5, 2 frames. 2 frames makes almost a gallon, just short of a gallon. So the math is funny on this, but let's see, a frame equals 3.5, about 3.5 pounds of honey a frame. 2 frames is 7 pounds. So 10 frames would equal 35 pounds of honey, or 35 pounds of honey. If the average is 10 pounds a gallon, that would be 3.5 gallons. Yeah, 3.5 gallons. That's about what I've found in the past a super will produce. So a medium-sized super with 10 frames produces 3.5 gallons of honey. So this is about a 5 gallon. It would just bring it up to about here, probably an entire super. Wow, that was informative, I'm sure. So many of you are new beekeepers, and you had no idea how all that works out with putting honey in bottles, extracting it, straining it, and all that. So I hope that was very helpful for you. And now it's time for coffee time. And by the way, this cup, I said I was going to keep using the other cup, but I changed my mind. I had the right to change my mind. This cup Actually, I got this yesterday in the hospital. Sherry went in for her knee replacement yesterday, and so everything is going good. No, she went in on Monday, and I brought her home yesterday, and she's really doing well. Going to be about 3 weeks recovering, you know, therapy and all that before she's up and at 'em again. But glad that went well. Anyway, got a coffee cup from the hospital. I won't tell you what I paid for this cup. But yeah, can't wait to have coffee time today with you, because I want to talk to you about not being constantly involved in disruptions and distractions. Disruptions and distractions are very harmful for our positive and mental state of being. Before I get started, you're probably asking, you know, what is this? As you know, I'm into ham radio, amateur radio. I love amateur radio so much, and I'm in the process of learning more about it. I've been making a lot of contacts. I've contacted Italy, Canada, California, New York, all out west, and just, it's been really fun making contacts. And a lot of people say, well, why would you want to do that if you have a cell phone or you have the internet? Well, it's just something very unique about being able to contact somebody with a radio that really requires no internet connection or no cell phone tower. And if there ever is a, you know, God forbid, but if there ever is a national disaster and all the cell phone towers are destroyed or something, ham radio will really shine. And it does during hurricanes and tornadoes. I remember reading about ham radio saving the day when the tornado hit Joplin, Missouri. Ham radio operators came to the aid of emergency response people and gave them locations, and it's just really cool stuff. And speaking of that, look at this. I won a certificate in ham radio. Well, actually, if you contact these 13 states on, I think it was the weekend of July the 4th, and if you make all, you know, contacts with all these states, there's like New York, Virginia, Rhode Island, the original 13 colony states. And I contacted them all, plus one bonus state, and got the plaque. That's really cool. And a coffee mug with my call sign on it for that. It's called a contest. Ham radio isn't just a bunch of old farts sitting around talking on some ancient radio. There's a lot of cool things to do, like contests. It's great for kids to learn, you know, electronics, communications, and all that. But that's really fun. It was a good time. So today I want to spend a minute to talk to you about avoiding all the disruptions and distractions. Now today in our modern culture, we hear a lot recently, and it just happened. Do you hear that train? I live, where I'm filming this, I'm 1 mile away from a train track. And when the wind's out of the south, you can hear it. The wind's out of the north, you really don't hear it. But it's a very active train. You can barely see it a mile away, but it likes to get in and be a part of the videos with us. But anyway, I was saying that in our culture today, there's a lot of talk about mindfulness. You hear that word a lot. You hear meditation, mindfulness, yoga. A lot of people think you've got to take, you know, you got to go for training. You got to live with the monks. I mean, you got to live on a mountaintop to learn all these things. That's a bunch of bull. You don't have to do that. And people will tell you that did it that you shouldn't do that. I'm sure there's benefits to it, but none of us are going to be able to quit our jobs and move to a mountaintop or live in a monastery and get away from the stress in our life. So the important thing is, how do we integrate this mindfulness and continue to live in our current culture and our current experience and situation in life that we're in? That's really what got me excited about learning more about it. I have a friend that's a great philosopher, and he explained to me that the greatest power is to be able to be in control of yourself in the worst of situations, in your average day-to-day situations. So anyway, let's talk about disruptions and distractions. Mindfulness really only means that you're more mindful of the moment. And if you've ever taken a mindfulness course or a class, most of them will have you put a raisin in your mouth and hold it in there for like a minute or longer. And what they want you to do is, you know, feel the texture, sense the taste. They want you to be more mindful of what you're doing. And a good point is that whatever you do, you need to be fully there and learn how to enjoy that moment. Like right now, I'm making a video for you. Nothing else is distracting me. Maybe the train did, but I got my mind quickly back on what I'm doing. I want to enjoy this moment right now. So I don't care what else is going to happen today. I'm not thinking about anything except this video. I'm fully mindful of this video experience right now. I'm mindful that there's the beautiful flowers here. You know, this is a Russian sage, and I love the purple Russian sage color. But if you smell those leaves, talk about being in the moment. This, you know what sage smells like? This is even, I wish I could hold it up to the camera and you could smell that. If you've never smelled Russian sage, that puts you in the moment. I mean, it's like, wow, it's like sage, only a little bit different and stronger, I think. But just enjoying things like this. When I eat a meal, my whole life, I eat very slowly. I drive people crazy. My family will leave the table and go do something else. I'm still eating. It's so fun. I enjoy, I mean, I'm not a pig, don't get me wrong. I'm just eating very slowly and I'm enjoying the taste. I'm savoring every moment of it. And so you have to not live your life like, okay, it's time to eat, 15 minutes. And I know some of you were in the military and maybe, you know, you had to wolf down your food real quick to get it back, whatever, I understand that. But you need to be able to train yourself to enjoy the moment. Enjoy the hands that made that food for you. Enjoy the love they put into making that meal. When my wife makes a meal for me, I enjoy that meal because I know that she loves me. And when I'm eating the food, somehow I'm eating food that was made by somebody who loves me and has my best interests. And so I'm really enjoying that moment. I'm not distracted. Like you're saying, it's a bunch of bull, you're crazy. I'm gonna watch another video of some donkey falling off of a bridge or something. There's other videos better than this. Yeah, right. Well, but let's take the opposite. Let's say somebody made me a meal, but they were mad at me and they hated me and they were cussing me and they prepared the meal and they plopped it down in front of me, and the whole time I'm trying to eat my meal, they're yelling at me. You think I would enjoy that? Do you think my body would receive that meal and be nourished by it? No, I'd probably throw up. I'd certainly probably have heartburn after I ate it. So if you take the opposite, when somebody makes you a meal with loving hands and you enjoy the loving moment and you're fully there, it's powerful. Oh my gosh. Let's take a cup of coffee, for example. If you make a cup of coffee, there's two kinds of coffee drinkers. There's the coffee drinker that wakes up because they can't live one moment without a cup of coffee. And so before they even go to the bathroom, they have it all wired up that I'm gonna wake up at 5:55. The coffee machine comes on. It starts making my coffee. I lay in bed until 6:01, and then I know my coffee's ready. I scoot my feet out to the coffee cup, I pour it, I wolf it down. They're not enjoying the moment. Like right now, I'm gonna enjoy this coffee. I'm not rushed. I can live without it. I can stop any time. I'm not addicted to coffee. I can stop any time. Now get out of my face. Quit telling me what to do and how to live my life. No, I mean, sometimes I do go without coffee. I don't get headaches or anything like that or have to have my caffeine. But I enjoy just taking time with my coffee. I can spend a long time drinking one cup of coffee. But the other coffee drinkers are only drinking it just to get that really quick charge of, woof, okay, I can go to work now. And there's a difference. So how do you avoid disruptions and distractions? Well, you're not going to avoid all of them. You know, there's going to be times when you're going to be interrupted, disrupted, distracted. But you have to train your mind to say, I'm going to be fully engaged And that's what mindfulness means. It means that you're fully in this moment. Like if you're talking to somebody, sometimes you're thinking about what you're going to say when they finally shut up. I wish they would get done because I've got something to say. But if you're fully engaged with what they're saying and you're watching them, you're watching their eyes, you're watching their mouth, you're watching their hand gestures like I'm doing now, and you begin to be in that moment, you really enjoy everything. Here's what I do when I'm somewhere, and I got this from another type of training and career that I was involved in, but when I go into a room, I take in as much information that I can, purposefully. I count, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I look at everyone in the room, and I look at where all the chairs are. I look at what shoes people are wearing. I look at where the exit door is. I look at who else is there, if they're sitting or standing. I observe who they're interacting with. I observe everything about the room, the environment that I can. I take it in. I enjoy just being in that, becoming a part of that room. I look at what the floor is made of. I look at, see if the clock is right. I mean, you might think, wow, that guy is schizophrenic or something. No, I've just learned to enjoy and take in. I'm really tactile. I take in all this information. I touch and feel and absorb the moment, and I'm fully there. Not every time. Sometimes I'm just in a hurry. I can't do that. But when I have time, I'm just not going to be interrupted. Now, another thing, I'm using my cell phone to make this video. I can't hold it in my hand, but a lot of times we always have our cell phone with us. And what really bugs me is when I'm talking to somebody and all at once they have to look at their cell phone. Bing! Oh, just a minute. Oh, and they'll you know, okay, what were we talking about? Or they'll take a call, or they'll just always be checking their email or checking their texts and things. There's got to be a time in your life when you turn that off. And I know you've heard that before. Oh gosh, another guy telling me to turn off my cell phone, giving me a break. I like my cell phone. I have a hard life. I'm entertained by Facebook and YouTube, and you're watching a YouTube. I'm watching your YouTube, David. You're telling me to turn off my phone right now in the middle of your YouTube? Of course not. Come on. I'm just saying that, you know, if you're awake for what, 16 hours a day, and all at once you find yourself 15 hours a day with your phone in your hand, looking at stuff that you really don't have to look at, like that donkey falling off a bridge, or on YouTube, some YouTube video that really, do you have to watch that? And so why not start small, but take your cell phone and turn it off for, like, see if you can leave it off for 3 minutes. I mean, like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this. How long, how much time left on timer? 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Oh, it's only been 20 seconds, you know, whatever. But find some time that you can get rid of the distractions in your life and be more in the moment. Take a walk, enjoy some flowers. Now you're going to say, man, my life is crazy. My job is demanding. I've got children that have to be cared for. I'm running here and there. I hate my job. I don't live in a good place that, you know, has a great environment, David, like you do. I can't do what you do. You can start. I went through all those early stages of raising a family, house full of 6 kids, poor, working 2 or 3 jobs and still not being able to pay my bills. I've been there. I know what that feels like, but I still found time. I would sneak away into a state park or something and sit there for hours observing nature. Nature is healing when you observe nature. It has a way of really healing us. So please start small as you can, just to work something in your life where you can take a break. And maybe watching this video is helpful for you. Maybe you enjoy the colors of the Russian sage and these little daisy flowers, the green grass behind me, the birds chirping, this coffee that is ready to be consumed and enjoyed. Wow, it is kind of nice, isn't it? Maybe, you know, have you seen the YouTube video of the fireplace And it's just nothing but a fireplace burning for an hour or more. And we turn that on sometimes. We have a fireplace in our main room, but you know, you have to bring logs in and all that. But sometimes we just turn the fireplace, YouTube fireplace on. I know you do that too. And you know, this is good at Thanksgiving or Christmas, have it on TV. Maybe you just need to, maybe I should make a video of me just sitting here and you can watch for hours. All right, for the few of you that are still watching this video after I've talked so crazy, I'm just saying, try not to live your life in total distraction. And when you're somewhere, try to be more there and try to really enjoy the moment. Last comment I want to make is, my wife and I went into town the other day and I found a True Value store. You know True Value? Gosh, it's a next best thing to the old Radio Shacks of old. I used to love going to Radio Shack. I think we've talked about that, but this True Value store was so cool. We went in there, we had our mask on and everything, but we went in there, they had everything. Oh my gosh. I mean, stuff that I had no idea. I'm so used to going to Menards or Lowe's, you know, these big box stores like that. I fell in love with True Value. I mean, I get no money back from True Value. I'm not sponsored by True Value. I don't even know how that works. But we went inside there. It was just your old, you know, it was in a large city, but it's a small town feel hardware store. And there was like 5 guys working. Can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you find something? I needed a battery. It was those little circle round thin batteries for a digital device. Oh yeah, we got these back here. And they took me back there. I walked through every aisle like a kid at Christmas time. Sherry, look, they have this. Sherry, look, they have these little electronic things. Wow, you know, they have this and they have that. And I was just in the moment, and I took in that whole moment of the store. I wasn't distracted by anything. So whatever you're doing, if you're running, jogging, walking, having a cup of coffee, whatever you do, become more, I don't want to use the word mindful, but become more aware. Yeah, that's the best word. Become more, concentrate on that moment and become more aware. When you inspect your beehive, you're aware of what's going on. Some of you are new to beekeeping and you're not completely aware, but you're not distracted because you're holding a frame in your hand. And if your cell phone goes off, you don't give a flying fig because you can't let go of this frame, you know. You're concentrating. I got to put it back gently. And beekeeping really does help us in so many ways learn to be aware, because sometimes we pull up a chair and just watch the bees go back and forth in the entrance. Enjoy that. Don't just sit and worry about, oh my gosh, are they dying? Do I have enough honey for winter? Wait a minute. Go out there and sit down, safe distance from getting stung, but enjoy watching your bees. Enjoy them. Whatever you do, you have the power with your mind to enjoy that moment by being aware, concentrating on the moment, and get rid of all the distractions and disruptions. Good coffee time, right? All right. Hey, be sure and visit my website. I do have some awesome beekeeping classes, and you can become really involved in these classes and become more aware of the moment by studying bees, knowing more about bees. Check out my online classes you can take from the comfort of your home. You can watch the classes as long as you want, pause them, watch them over the course of a year. They don't go away. Once they're yours, you have them, so they're available online for you, because all the other courses that are offered in colleges, universities, and clubs, they're gone. There's no reason to get upset about that. Just find an alternative way to learn about bees through our online courses. That's great. And so that's really cool, people. Good to be with you again. It's always a pleasure listening for your comments, watching your comments on YouTube. I'm trying to respond to as many as I can. Remember, I cannot give guidance with your beekeeping questions about your hive on YouTube. I've just chosen not to do that, again, because I don't know your location. You can live in the hottest climate in the world or the coldest climate. I don't know what kind of hive you're working. I don't know how old your hive is. I don't know how old, I mean, you can't do that. It's like going to a doctor and not telling him anything much about what's wrong with you and hoping he can guess it. I just can't do that. So if they're simple and easy, I'll take a stab at it if I can give a one-word answer, but I'm not going to give you a long-term guidance because that's something you need to learn in a class and a course. So I hope you understand that. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but that's just the way it is. All right, so look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, and as always, stay healthy and be safe.